it's a new phone, and this Android as opposed to Apple, and I was just holding it in the wrong place and did the live stream. Basically, I was saying in the past when I'm just moving into the kitchen to make a coffee, and I've been in this. Sorry, I was saying that it's not having much. Here we go. I was saying that in the past, when I've been in this place, what my mental health is asking me to do at the moment is switch back to an experience of life that was maybe reminiscent of a year ago, or a few months ago, or a few years ago, just any other time than my recent awareness of being in terror. And what I'm doing on this live stream is basically finding myself after an ordeal today. I'll touch on that, I'm sure, in a minute. But what happened essentially today was I'm in terror, and I know I'm in terror. Nothing can take that away from me. But that's me, that's my knowing, that's my mind stalking my life, being aware of what I'm experiencing on a day-to-day basis. And I've acknowledged I'm in terror. I know what it means to be in terror now. And what my mental health is, well, no, it's not my mental health. Basically, it's like I'm losing the battle to terror, because I know I'm in terror, and when you're in terror, I know what it looks like, and it's all encompassing to such an extent that it overrides any physical pain. It overrides all mental health illness to my experience of it. That's what I'm able to correlate as the most likely scenarios. But where essentially I've been in terror for years, and I've not known it. I've machoed up every time life has got hard. I'm a spiritual warrior. I'm a man. I'm a Greek Cypriot from this family that doesn't take, crap. We hold our chin ups to the world, so to speak. All those things that make us push ourselves in times of distress. It's also not only that, but society. Oh, you have depression, which was my one step back from taking me to terror, acknowledging that I'm finally in depression. Society really is a taboo subject. Oh, you've got depression. You better know you've got depression, because you can't talk about depression in this world. So in other words, to speak about depression, if you're in depression, you have to know it. And if you've got to know it, you've got to deny it when it first hits and use all those things that we've just mentioned in terms of ego and that work mentality to keeping a stiff upper lip and your chin up. And push through it until things become so bad you can't deny you've got depression. By the time you come around to, this is my experience, by the time we come around to realise, oh actually no, I'm depressed. And you hit the truth of your life and you're like, right, well no, I'm depressed, I'm going to have to be depressed now. Doesn't matter if I speak about it, it doesn't matter how horrible it sounds. I still know how to be appropriate, but this is my life and I'm going to speak about it when it's appropriate as well. I'm not going to shy away from society's got the problem there. But I started being honest with myself to the extent, right, I'm in depression. And soon after, it was a case of, oh no, I'm actually in terror. All that time that I was in denial about the depression, the truth is it wasn't depression, it was a case of I was terrified about the world. And if I was allowed to be depressed and work through it that way, I would have been able to acknowledge it and keep it in check and hone it and work through it, because the terror wasn't so bad. But you had 4 years of hard work, hard labour, hard graft through essentially fighting depression for what it is, fighting yourself. And in that you're fighting society, aren't you? Because society is the one that's responsible for you denying yourself. It's the one for teaching you how to be a man in this world, how to work, keep a stiff upper lip, your chin up and all of that. It's the world that teaches you. By the time you're honest with yourself, the extent that it was maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago even, 10 years ago, however long, it's just got times by a million. And then you find yourself quickly in terror. Okay, so I'm in terror, what do I do? It's not about keeping a stiff upper lip anymore, but I'm in terror, I need to apply something along that mindset so I can function. Because when you're in terror, life is disgusting. The fact that I'm allowed to find myself in terror in one of the most affluent countries in the world, where everybody here has a smile on the face and tells people walking down the street crying to shut up, because we're all so conscious and because we have money and we're so affluent. The amount of times I've been told in the past week to shut up walking down the street by people who have money, people who have homes, people who are in denial about their terror because of the affluence of this surroundings. I'm at home, I have a home. I'm finally able to cook my coffee on my gas stove as opposed to doing it on my stove for heat where I have to keep warm from. This is a luxury, and it could get even better, you know. But because of all this, I have to deny myself, because this is a part of all of the surrounding affluence, and within that affluence nobody has terror because we have affluence, and there are people in the world that are worse off than us. How can we be in terror if the rest of the world isn't in terror. So there's all that going on. And it's so nice to cook a coffee on the stove. I've reconnected the gas, checked all the pipes for gas leaks, connected it all up. It's lovely. Would be lovely. I'm in terror, and what my mental health is asking me to do is live that terror like I lived it 2 months ago when I wasn't aware of it and still in denial about my depression. Live it like a year ago, 4 years ago. And in truth, the terror is terror. And if I've been living terror that way for so long now, which I have, it's no surprise really that I'm struggling with the terror, being aware of it in the present moment, consciously, in different ways. So in other words, the habitual patterning I have for acknowledging terror is life, like we all live. I'm sorry to say it, but you're in terror too. The whole world is in terror. It's just a case of acknowledging it, if you can, and what that might mean. I've just lost the charger. And I'm in terror in the first instance, and I thought it would be a case of, right, I know I'm in terror. I'm going to be living my life on a day-to-day basis according to realizing I'm in terror. And I can action plan it, and I can stay focused, and I can get on. But what's happening is I'm being asked to experience life like a year ago, like 2 months ago, like 5 years ago. And it's just not possible. Because you're in terror, and when you're in terror, you need to acknowledge you're in terror. When you're in terror, you're beyond pain, you're beyond mental health. And I can't live through terror like 2 months ago. I can't live through it like I did 5 years ago. I need to live through terror to my life in the present moment. And to my life in the present moment, I've got a very simple action plan to be able to function until a miracle happens. At least as long as I can function, I'm alive, you know. I'm able to be patient until something happens, bide my time. But unfortunately, I have no hope in this world. Society and the mental health system is the primary cause for my terror. Secondly, it's pain. I say primary, the mental health system, because that is what came first. But in the present moment, what's taken me to the point of realization about the terror is the physical pain. And the physical pain has surfaced since I was first in terror, looking back. I don't know if that makes sense. The pain is what made me finally realize I'm depressed, I'm in terror. But I didn't have the physical pain when I first entered terror and was in denial of it, because we can't admit to depression, and depression is before terror. As an average person like yourself, I've just told you in terror, you can't acknowledge that, can you, to your life? No, I have friends. No, I'm warm at the moment. I'm watching YouTube, Facebook. I've got the internet. I'm going to go out later, have a drink. Why am I in terror? I'm not in terror. It was the same for me, but looking back, and I won't reveal why, because it's the worst thing in the world to find out you're in terror when you have Facebook in front of you and all the things that we just mentioned. The best thing to do is to stick to those things. There's a time to acknowledge you're in terror, and as long as you've got those things in your life, you're better off like that. But not my mental health, my life, terror, has been conditioned to experiencing life in many different ways now because of the denial and the energy I've put in. And I'm in Guantanamo Bay, and my captors is humanity's ignorance and everything that's taken us to this point where I can walk down the street crying as a 36-year-old man. And countless of times over a week or two period, I'm told to shut up, like I'm a piece of meat, like I'm a piece of shit, like I'm a piece of trash, like the person speaking has lost their mind because they don't have compassion to see someone in terror because it's too painful for them. They'd rather see me as some drunk, homeless person, alcoholic, drug abuser. Forget the reasons why someone would do that, because they can't see the pain in someone's life like me, possibly a year ago. I couldn't see the pain in someone's life, someone's innocence, that's taken them to the point where they've become homeless, a drug abuser, alcoholic and whatever else. And if someone annoyed me on a nice day, I'd probably be saying the same thing. It's a sickness, it's a collective sickness, the collective psychosis. Why do I say it? Where is the psychosis? Why are we in psychosis? But I'm in terror today, and I'm being asked to deal with it 4 years ago, like 2 months ago, whenever. And the isolation to helplessness within life. And don't forget, I have the mental health system there with the ever likely scenario of being forced medications. In other words, I don't know what went on in Guantanamo Bay. I don't know what went on in all those other places that people get tortured. Guantanamo Bay was the good guys torturing the bad guys, but the bad guys also have tortured the good guys. And in rare cases, I'm sure every country is responsible for torture and everything else. But I've got the mental health system there in the background, and I'm aware of the medication. I'm aware of how it affects the body. I'm aware how I shut down every time I take it. I only have to look at the other, I don't know what to call them, patients or inmates, the people that their liberties and freedoms have been taken away from them because of their natural inclination to life, and that is to have a mental health disorder. Unfortunately, society doesn't understand everything, but it's arrogant in the way it thinks it understands the mind in relationship to society and the world. Oh, and if you're not able to appropriately do what we want of you, we will section you, we will take away your freedom, and within that, forcibly give you medication. If you decline it, it will be injected. That is there in the background. So I'm forced to work, forced to be stressed, forced to fight. And I'm in terror. I've got all of the responsibilities a normal person has in this world, home, bills, and managing budgets and all of that. I can't have friends or a social circle because I have to focus on the fundamentals. And everything is terrifying. The people are terrifying. Walking down the street to see that the truth of the world is that we're all in terror, and we can't admit it to ourselves because the people shouting at me to shut up are shouting at me from the safety of their homes, the warmth of their homes, their luxuries. And then what my screams are saying is, I'm in terror as a result of your luxuries, our luxuries. I'm in terror as a result of what we've come together to be. If this is not their home, it's from their car with their mates on a night out when they're having a laugh and they're drunk. And it's safety, isn't it? They're with their mates. I'm alone. But they're in terror too. I'm screaming, basically, don't intoxicate yourself. What are you doing wasting your time pretending you're all okay with your mates in a car park, doing nothing when you're in terror? I'm sorry, I'm in terror. It's impossible to sit down and to breathe through the terror. In my circumstance, there may be aspects of terror where people can apply compassion towards that individual, and they can feel that compassion and feel the warmth and feel the safety and find rest there, find some solitude there too, the suffering. I haven't got that chance. I'm waiting on a miracle, and I fight every day for a miracle, but I can't live like this in what I've unfortunately conditioned my body and my mind in advance to be able to accept terror in so many different terrifying ways, other than just being able to acknowledge it in the present moment and apply an action plan for survival, to be able to function, and for the only hope of a miracle coming true. And I started this live stream with the hope that I was going to talk my way through it and find a solution, or at least explore it. But I know what the inevitability is. And as however hard today has been, however disgusting an experience it is for a human being to be in Guantanamo Bay or wherever else anybody's ever been tortured, to hear the screams of that person openly in the road because they're clothed like everybody else and they look like everybody else. I can't hear the screams. All I hear is a person to have a shot at, because within those screams all I hear is the pain I would have to acknowledge before I'm able to show that person compassion. I'm sorry if I've just ruined your night out with your mates. I'm sorry if I've just ruined your experience of your arrest online, but I might be getting less views without the pain my words carry. How can anybody hear the truth? My mental health pushed on me yesterday, a few good men. You can't handle the truth. You can handle the truth if you listen and you trust. And that is to say, if you're here watching me on YouTube or Facebook, acknowledge somewhere within you you're in terror. Hear the words I've said and rest in Facebook, YouTube, your friends, Saturday night, the sickness of this society. The next time you hear someone walking down the street crying or in distress, a homeless person, obviously a drug abuser, begging for money, maybe remember this video. The disgust within me towards humanity is acknowledged by my mind. I've done a lot of work in terms of personal healing, development, and I've had a lot of positive influence in my life in that direction to help me come to a conscious realization of where I am as a human being. Believe me, when you realize you're in terror, that warmth initially of that comfort that might come your way as solitude, which you will have to take, can quite easily become disgust at the same individual that's giving you solitude for their ignorance to the terror and their seeming lackluster approach to helping, truly helping. So next time you see that homeless person that's barely conscious and still high off last night's hit, if you have the money and you're going to go and waste, and you're going to go and have a good time with your friends later and have a drink or go home, put the heating on, maybe put the computer on and waste some time online, possibly think about giving them 20p. All you have to do is think, I can't afford it. I never give homeless people money. But I acknowledge they're suffering more and more.